And good morning. The PGA Tour has made it to the hills of West By God, Virginia for the Greenbrier Classic at the Old White TPC. It'll begin on Thursday. Wonderful to see that golf course and that resort back in the condition that is in after the devastation of last year. And we say good morning and happy birthday, USA. Yes, this is a wonderful day. Enjoy the holiday. Glad you can start it with us here on Morning Drive. Gary Williams, Charlie Reimer, winner on the PGA Tour, Robert Dameron. Happy birthday, gentlemen.
Yeah, what a great day. I hope everyone watching today enjoys the day with family. But at some point, this is a day I think you need to take a little bit of time to reflect, be thankful for the opportunity that we have to live in this country, the best country there's ever been on the face of this earth.
Well said.
Amen. But don't forget about the barbecues later tonight and the fireworks too. It's no reason we can't eat and have a little fun.
You got that right.
The fireworks kind of bother me because we're working
we
tomorrow
work early.
morning, and they don't stop early.
Yeah, can they turn the volume down on those?
No, you can't do that. And if of all days you're going to be social, aren't you, with family and friends? So with that, we say good morning to Bailey Mosier. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well, Gary. Yes, I spent some time in D.C. and Boston recently, so I've actually been learning, relearning about America and really taking pride in this country. So happy 4th of July to everyone out there. We do want to hear from you at home. Like Gary said, we want to, MD4th is the hashtag. So anything you're doing, golf inspired, wearing your red, white, and blue today, we want to see it. So go ahead and send that out to us on all of our social channels. We're going to show your photos throughout the morning today. So yesterday, I actually have family in town. We tried to play golf. Here's a look at my tweet. I posted yesterday there wearing, some red, white, and blue. We got rained out. We didn't even get to tee off. Unfortunately, I think we're going to try it again today. But again, send those using hashtag MD4th. We're going to show them throughout today's show. Gary, back over to you.
All right, Bailey, thank you. Nobody could look better. Somebody was drinking scotch last night, but she stopped early. Now, they have returned to the Old White, to this historic, incredible resort, 11,000 acres, 710 rooms, 9 restaurants. It's really a very special place. So who else would be there but the guy who gets to go to every special place? And that's our Matt Ginella. Good morning. Happy 4th, my friend.
Good morning, Gary. Happy 4th to everybody back there in Studio AP, and obviously happy 4th to everybody watching this morning. It's great to be here.
I know it is. And when you consider where you are, it's one thing to go to a special hotel and resort with all the accommodations, but this place has extraordinary history.
Yeah, absolutely, Gary. I mean, we talk about Sea Island. You could take a place like the Broadmoor, Pebble Beach. Not many places I stumble upon or cover in this great state of golf and destinations that go back to 1778. Just a brief history of the Greenbrier. You can talk about, they built a hotel back in 1858. They started building the golf in 1913 and 14 with the original C.B. McDonald and Seth Rayner design. They redesigned the hotel happens in 1922. The place essentially becomes a hospital during World War II. They called it the Ashford General Hospital. It was then leased by the military, reopened as a hotel in 1948 with Sam Snead as the resident pro. 1950s, they built the West Virginia wing with the very famous fallout bunker and secret fallout bunker below for Congress in fear of a Cold War. 1978, Jack Nicklaus redoes the Greenbrier course in preparation for the 1979 Ryder Cup and then the 1994 Solheim Cup. And then in 2006, Lester George does some work on the Old White. Jim Justice buys this property in 2009 and brings the PGA Tour here in 2010. We know about the flood, and we'll hear more about that in 2016. And then Keith Foster comes in 2016 and 17 to redo this golf course.
Matt, let's stay right there for a moment because we are going to show a phenomenal piece about the devastation, not just obviously to the golf course, but that surrounding area. But Keith Foster didn't have to do a restoration. It was like a rebirth. What did he do?
Yeah, well, you mentioned the name, when you mentioned the name Keith Foster, this is a guy in the world of architecture who's really making a career for himself in going back and restoring some of the greats. We talked about Philadelphia Cricket Club in 2015 hosting the PGA Championship, National Championship for the players there in 2015. We loved the work that he did with the Tillinghast. Well, he comes in here in last year, right after the flood was over, and really had a chance to kind of redo this Seth Rayner, C.B. Macdonald original. When we say Seth Rayner and C.B. Macdonald, we know about the template holes that they brought back to golf in America in the late 1800s. Some of the best holes in the UK. They took those template holes, about 30 of them, and they started implementing them in land all over the United States and really bringing strategy to golf in America. So Keith Foster goes in and starts doing research. He goes to Camargo, St. Louis Country Club, Yeamans Hall, and Shore Acres to do research on the best of what is Seth Rayner designs. And he explained to me on the phone, he's trying to take early Seth Rayner, which was 1913, 1914 when he did Old White, and kind of updating it and bringing the bolder and more confident Seth Rayner of the 1920s to what is Old White. And honestly, having walked the golf course yesterday, he more than pulled it off. This place looks fantastic. It's one of my favorite golf courses in the country, and after his work, it's moving up my list.
You know, it's interesting. They went there, the PGA Tour, for the first time in 2010. It was an easy golf course. Stuart Appleby shot 59 in the final round. Is the golf course or the early returns, you were out there yesterday, you were mentioning the bunkering, and the bunkering could be a challenge, particularly for a recreational golfer. Explain that.
Well, you know, I always judge a golf course, yes, by architecture, but in total on the experience. And the place like Old White for me is the idea that somewhere along the middle of the golf course, you think to yourself, I can't wait to get back to the first tee. And what Keith Foster has done to this golf course is he had those 5 priorities, those 5 things that he was really focusing on. And that goes the connections from the greens to the tee. He really wanted to make sure that those short walks from the greens to the tee really enhance that experience. So building up of mounding and adding some fescue grass to create something that feels like a reveal, an intimacy here as we're surrounded by the Allegheny Mountains. The fairway bunkering, as you mentioned, he wants it to be deceptively bold. That's what Seth Rayner's intent. So you'll see a lot of flat fairway bunkers, but with 3.5 to 4 foot walls in those bunkers. So if you underestimate those bunkers, they can really catch you, and they can be, if you're up against them, a half to a full stroke penalty if you're in them. So they really have to take those into account. The 14th hole, he really exposed that fairway. You'll see that throughout this week. And then an updated the fairway bunker on the right-hand side, something that the players weren't really even paying attention to prior to this year. The 16th tee, he took the tee from the right side of the green, 15, and it goes all the way over the water, and put it to the left-hand side, giving them that option, creating what was called the full Cape experience. So you can bite off as much as you can chew off the tee there. Added a green fairway bunker on the 16th. And then the 18th green, he spent the most time on redoing what is a very famous par 3 finish here at Old White. He redid the contour in what was kind of the reverse of a Biarritz with a swale in the middle of the green. He took that 18th green, which has kind of that spine running horizontally on the green, and redid it and put it what seems to be like a thumbprint in the middle of that green. That's going to get a lot of play this week. You're going to see that a lot in the coverage, and could result in a very exciting finish on Sunday.
Great information, of course. Famous as well on 18 for Jim Justice walking around handing out Benjamins. If something really special happens there, you're going to be with us throughout the show. So much more from Matt Janella coming up from the Greenbrier. Perfect time for them to be there. Great family week. All right, what else is happening? Well, Rory McIlroy is happening. He is back in action. Yes, it is the Dubai Duty-Free Irish Open. Won it last year. What a thrill for people in his homeland, not to mention the fact, gentlemen, that he has wrapped his arms around this. He is not just applying his name, he's applying his time. And you look at the notables in the field, Rory McIlroy is very well respected, obviously, by his peer group, and that is reflected in the quality of this field. There is some serious firepower in this field, and of course, part of the Rolex series as well. Huge purse, lots on the line. So with that being said, you can't take him. He's not part of this game. So state your case, Charlie, for somebody else.
Well, real quickly, I want to talk just for a second, hit this. We've got 3 wonderful weeks of golf coming up in a row. If you like links golf as I do, Irish Open, Scottish Open, Open Championship. So I am fired up about golf. in this part of the world this time of year is as good as it gets. So, to the question you asked me, sorry, I get sidetracked
I know
sometimes,
you do.
Gary, but I'm going to go with Peter Uihlein. Peter Uihlein, former #1 ranked player in the world, is an amateur, has already won on the European Tour. He had a wrist injury last year, really set him back quite a bit. Played wonderful in the French Open last week. He closed with a 68. Tommy Fleetwood just went out and beat him. Peter Uihlein is really coming back into his own. This is a player that will get to the top 50 in the world playing outside of the U.S. PGA Tour and will get his PGA Tour card that way. You can go to the bank on that. This is a wonderful player, and he has got to be inspired by watching what his good buddy Brooks Koepka has done, taking the same route to becoming U.S. Open champion.
No doubt about it. Robert, how about you? State your case.
Let me remind you how great Hideki Matsuyama is when he is on. Late last year, he would have won 6 tournaments in a row if it were not for Justin Thomas beating him in 2 of those.
Right.
When he gets all warmed up, he can beat anyone at any course. Going into Birkdale, he is warming up because he shot 2 really good rounds at Aaron Hill's U.S. Open, finished tied for 2nd. If he keeps that going, he was going to be absolutely in the mix at Birkdale.
Good to see him in the field this week. Let's get back to the host. We've talked a lot about him early part of the week. The fact that he got something maybe out of that final round at Travelers. Jump up, get to work with respect to his putting, because that has been the subject at hand with him.
Yeah, the ball striking is never an issue. A little bit later in the show, we're going to take a look at his 3-wood play. But for now, let's get under the hood a little bit with the putting. When he struggles, this is where he struggles. And I know you've got some really strong feelings on putting. Let us know your thoughts on Rory's putting right now.
Well, what we see from Rory a lot of times, I think, is a putt, especially a little left to righter like this one. He comes up and out of it where the putter face actually kind of opens up. He opens his shoulders and the putter face goes up and kind of holds open. If you watch this right here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. And he's aimed, just a touch outside the left. Look at that left shoulder, how high it is. Look at the face, it's open and it's up off. He's got a little chicken wing action going here. So if you do that and you don't kind of stay in your posture and release more towards the hole, you can't really keep it on line. I've got another putt that's a better example of what I'm talking about. And this setup is much better. So you can see down the line, he actually sets up with his driver a pretty high right side. He's got plenty of time and a full swing to correct it. But on a putt, not so much. If you get on a little on the high side this way, the putter goes inside. And I'm going to show you something. I've got a pause in here after he hits this putt. Now, I'm going to tell you he makes it, but if I didn't let you look at the ball in the hole and I said, just look at Rory right now, and I said, where do you think he's trying to stroke this ball to? You'd think he's trying to aim it right in this area. See where his shoulders and his putter are going? I think for you guys at home, if you're struggling with the left to righters, and Rory, if I were teaching him, which I'm waiting by my phone, maybe he'll call and ask. Here, but a really good
long
tip.
Wait.
Right. Oh yeah. He kind of opens up, chest, head almost a little forward, putter this way. If he took this part of the grip, not the flat part, but this left part where your left hand sits, if you're a right-handed golfer, and ran that towards the hole. Take this part of the putter grip, go towards the hole with that. His is going this way a little bit, left. Stroke that right towards the hole.
Yeah, and when he's off, the putts are coming up short and right because he's wiping it, not delivering the energy to the back of the ball.
No question.
Great stuff, Robert. For more great stuff, let's go over to Bailey Mosier. Bailey?
Charlie, yes, I have the tee sheet, what's coming up on this July 4th edition of Morning Drive. So honor, courage, and commitment are all core values of the Marine Corps, and they become actualized on the fairways of Pebble Beach every February in an event called Patriots at Pebble. And our own Matt Janella, he has more on that event that was founded in 2011 to assist Marine families all over the country. That's coming up in just a little bit. And today is a celebration of America's independence. We do encourage you to get outdoors, get a round of golf in, but we also want to remind you to stay hydrated because heat exhaustion is very real and it can be very dangerous. So Dr. Ara is here with tips on keeping you cool. And it was a devastating scene at the Old White Course at the Greenbrier this time last year, one of the deadliest and most destructive floods in West Virginia's history. It overtook the town of White Sulphur Springs. So 1 year later, here we are. How has Greenbrier community put those pieces back together? We're going to have an in-depth feature with all the details coming your way this morning. Morning Drive is live on this Tuesday, July 4th. We are back right after this short break.
Come on, Bailey. Look, we're all dressed up.
Nobody
hang with the
embraces
boys.
theme days more than Charlie Reimer. Nobody embraces it more than you do.
Get your USA on today, folks. Happy 4th.
Because of the
Look at
barbecue.
us.
Yes, this is the barbecue.